Hi everyone, thanks so much for joining me today. I'm Sarah and welcome to my yoga channel. Today I have a deep stretch yin practice to build strength and flexibility in our muscles and connective tissue. We'll hold each pose for up to 3 minutes to really lengthen and find space through our body. This class is a lovely balance of effort and ease and will leave you feeling open and recharged, ready for whatever lies ahead of you. If you have a yoga strap or belt and a pillow, bring them along, but don't worry if you don't, as they're not essential. So we're starting today's class sitting lengthways on the mat. Your legs extended, sitting nice and tall, finding space through the spine and allowing the shoulder blades to fall back down your back. We're going to hug our right knee in towards the body, squeezing it in, finding that length, and then step the right foot over the left and bring the right foot back so you can rest the knee down towards the left knee. Keeping that length through the spine. I'm going to come into a forward fold from here so you can rest your pillow, your cushion in between the legs and the belly, just for a little bit more comfort, a little bit more support. On the inhale, lengthen through the spine, and then on the exhale, begin to fold over the leg. And don't worry too much if the knee is still a good bit of the way from the bottom knee. Just once you have that idea, that sense of grounding and opening, that's all we're looking for. Begin to soften through the body as you begin to let go. And soften the gaze, close the eyes, and allow the arms to become heavy. Allowing the shoulder blades to release and open. Beginning to focus on the breath. Inhale, you lengthen through the spine. On the exhale, see if you can sink deeper, further into the pose. Inhale, lengthen. And exhale, soften. It's a really intense pose for the left leg. Up towards the hip. So just notice what you notice. Use this time to check in with the body, with the mind. Gently begin to come out of the pose by pressing into the hands and walking the hands back in towards the body, sitting up nice and tall once again. And bend into both legs, plant the feet on the mat and just drop the knees side to side. Just to bring some movement back into the left hip and through the leg. Sometimes you don't feel the pose as much when you're in it, and it isn't until you come out that you really feel how much it's working. This time we're going to extend the right leg nice and long away from you and hug the left knee into the body. Sitting up nice and tall, find that length first. Step the left leg over the right and drop the left knee down towards the right. Again, using your cushion for support if you need to. Inhale as we lift and lengthen through the spine. Exhale, begin to hinge forward. And allow the body to soften and melt over the legs. Dropping the head, dropping the gaze. Beginning to sink and melt into the pose. Allowing the spine to round slightly. Releasing the muscles, letting go. Noticing that you're not holding on to any tension. while we hold these challenging poses, sometimes we tend to scrunch up the muscles in our face or hold tension elsewhere, almost to distract ourselves. See if you can soften any of those areas and really release and spend some time in the pose. Focus on the inhale and focus on the exhale. With each breath, with each inhale, find more length through the spine. And use the exhale to sink and release and fold deeper in. Finding more space with each breath, going deeper. Gently and softly come out of the pose, pressing into both hands and walking the hands back towards your body. Uncross the legs, and this time just shake through the legs, just shaking out both hips. That's before we make our way into our next pose, into a forward fold. So we want to peel the toes back towards the face, and again sitting up nice and tall so our feet are flexed. We're finding length through the spine. Our shoulder blades are peeling back down the body. So we're not hunching over. We want to find space before you go into our fold. Now, as we do, you can, if you have a strap or a belt with you, you can always place the strap around the balls of the feet and take hold of the strap, just if you need more support. That way you can lift and lengthen through the spine on the inhale. On the exhale, you can begin to come forward. And then you can begin to release and fold over the legs. Now, if you don't have a strap, plant the hands, lift and lengthen, and exhale, begin to fold forward. So we don't want to be pulling onto our legs and trying to crunch down into the pose. We want to find length and then soften down. So wherever you are, whether you're holding onto your strap or you're holding onto your legs, the hands are placed on the mat. Lengthen first, hinge from the hips, and fold and soften. And then once you're in the pose, you can release any tension from the head, begin to round. And begin to really let go. See if you can soften the muscles of the legs. And using your breath to bring you deeper into the pose. As you inhale, you imagine the spine lengthening. And as you exhale, imagine you can fall deeper, sink further. Don't worry at all if you're nowhere near the legs. In your fold, it's not about how far down we can come. It's about feeling, noticing, becoming aware in the pose. Our body will open and release and build flexibility. We have to let it do it in its own time. Lengthen on the inhale. Exhale, see if you can go further. As we hold yin poses, a few breaths longer than normal poses, it gives the body, the muscles and connective tissue time to release so you can begin to sink further go deeper in the pose. See if you can slow down the breath. And gently begin to come out of the pose, begin to lengthen back up through the spine really slowly. Lengthen first, then release the strap. You can pop it off to one side. That's for the moment. I'm going to make our way through to tabletop. So cross over the ankles, bring the hands out in front of you. Just going to step back into tabletop. We'll just take a moment just for a quick few cat-cows, just to release through the spine. So inhale, drop the belly, lift the heart and the chest forward. And exhale around and bring the gaze towards the knees. Inhale, just coming into our cow pose, just releasing the lower back. Quite intense, deep forward folds that we just moved into. So we just want to shake off any tension through the lower back. Coming back to tabletop, we're going to walk the hands out, walk the legs in front of you, making our way into Sphinx pose. So you're coming down onto your forearms. And just take a moment in Sphinx just to notice how the lower back feels. You might need to walk the legs a little bit wider if you feel any pinching, any sharp tension in the lower back. And wherever you are, lift and lengthen through the chest, or peel your shoulder blades down your back. Opening through the chest and through the heart space. We create more space for breath to flow. Soften through the muscles of the belly. And softening through the muscles of the glutes. As you allow each leg to hang heavy into your mat. And staying in our Sphinx pose, we're going to move into our next pose from here. So begin to bring your right fingertips to face and point towards the left corner of the mat. We're going to kick up our left foot away from the mat so the heel is coming down towards our bum. We're going to bring our left hand around to maybe take hold of the left foot. If you want to stay here, if this is deep enough for you today, because this is a quite intense back bend, stay right here. If you feel you can take it deeper, maybe take hold of the foot, maybe again, this is enough. Or begin to draw the heel towards the mat, towards your glute. You can allow the left hand just to hang heavy as you lengthen and lift through the chest. And gently close the eyes. You could begin to tilt the head, dropping down towards the mat, or keeping it facing forward. And once you're in a comfortable position in the pose, just begin to soften. Begin to release. It's quite an intense pose for the lower back, for the chest, for the legs. So only go to where you feel you need to today. We don't need to go to our max 200%. We want to allow the body to open in its own time. Allow the body to invite you in, creating space softly and gently. If you feel you've gone too far at all, you can always release the grip of the leg or come back down to Sphinx pose at any time. Allowing both hips to be soft and heavy, melting onto the mat. And gently release as slowly as you can. Unhook the leg. Really gently bring the left hand back down and rest the left leg down. Let's make a little pillow out of your hands. We're just going to rest our forehead down onto the hands to take the weight off the lower back. And just shake the hips left and right. It's really important in yin to release after each pose. Just allow the spine to realign. Just to make sure we're not taking away any tension. And then we're going to make our way to the next side, so coming back up into your Sphinx pose to begin with, just to make sure that we're coming into it the right way. Begin to point the left fingertips towards the right corner of the mat, kick up the right heel, and maybe if you can, take hold of that back foot, drawing the heel towards your body. Lengthen through the chest, finding space through the body. See if you can soften down through the body with the breath. Beginning to notice the top of the head, the forehead, and see if you can smooth and soften muscles. Soften the muscles of the face as you release the jaw. Releasing any tension in the back of the neck, into the shoulders. Soften through the muscles of the belly. As the muscles melt into the legs, and down into the toes, feeling the weight of the feet as they hang heavy on the mat. Gently and softly, once again, we're going to come out of our pose. Release the grip from the leg. Bring the right hand back down, landing onto the mat. Again, make a little pillow out of the hands and rest your forehead down onto the hands. Shaking the hips left and right. Bringing that movement back into the body. Nice big shakes side to side. And from here, we're going to plant our hands beside our shoulders and press ourselves back up through tabletop. And we're going to make our way into our next pose, into extended child's pose. So you want to bring our big toes to touch as we send our hips back towards our heels. You can rest your forehead or your chest down onto the cushion, just a little bit more support. Or rest the forehead down towards the mat. Soften and begin to melt the body down. Allowing yourself to really release. Allowing the arms to become heavy. Noticing the muscles in the lower back. Sending your breath down your spine and releasing on the exhale. Noticing the hips as they hang heavy towards the heels. Don't worry if they're not resting on the heels. Just noticing that space, feeding the weight to the body as it melts into the mat. Letting everything completely relax. All effort, all strain, all stress. And we're going to gently press yourselves out of the pose, pressing into the hands. Look up towards the top of the hands, towards the top of the mat. Make your way back to the tabletop. Bringing the knees in line under the hips, we're going to step our right foot to the outside of the right hand. Coming into a low lunge, your toes can come off the mat and your foot can be slightly pointing towards the right side of the room. Make as much space as you can in between the hips, so walk the back leg back as much as you need to. Lengthen through the spine. Coming into our lizard pose from here, you can drop your right knee a little bit towards the right side of the room to really go deep into the hips. And then, if you feel you can take it deeper, maybe come down onto the forearms. If not, stay high on the hands. If you can come down, great, come down onto the forearms. And no matter where you are, begin to drop the head. And begin to soften into the hips. Soften through the shoulders, just allowing your forearms to hold you here. If you feel you've gone too far, too deep into the pose, you can always press yourself back up into low lunge. You don't need to come down onto the forearms. Bringing your awareness back to your breath. Releasing with the exhale, using the breath to soften the muscles so we work deeper into our hips. I want to go deeper. Always walk the elbows wider, sink the body further in. That's only if you're living in a more open body. There's no need to go any deeper into the pose than the body wants today. No matter where you are, this pose will have the same effect no matter how it looks. Soften the legs. The only part of the body that should be working is your forearms as they hold you in place. I'm going to gently come out of our pose, planting both hands if you're down in your full lizard, heel toe the foot back into center. Just going to shake side to side on the hips, maybe forward and back, just to make sure we're not taking any stress in the hips, just releasing it all out. Then stepping the right foot to meet the left, making our way into the opposite side. So I'm going to walk our left foot over to the left side of the mat, allow the toes to come off the mat if they need to, planting the hands down to the inside of the leg, walk the back foot back for more space once again. Lengthen through the spine, open through the chest. Then if you feel you can take it deeper, you can come down onto the forearms, resting deeply into the hips. But only if you feel you have the space today. And once you're where you need to be, Soften the gaze. Melting all your awareness out of your body. Noticing how one side feels from the next. Notice if this side feels a little bit more tight, or maybe it's more open. Just use this as an opportunity to check in, see what's going on. See if things have started to quiet down. Or maybe you're beginning to drift and make plans. And if you are, just notice whatever it is. And do try to draw your awareness back to your breath. See if you can leave those plans, any stress or worries, just outside of the room. It'll all be there for you after, but use this time for you right now. Completely focusing on what feels good and what you need for you today. Gently pressing into both hands, making your way back out of the pose. Heel to the foot, back to center. And shake maybe side to side, forward and back. Just whatever you need to do, like we did on the other side, to bring yourself back. And then from here, step back. I'm going to cross over our feet. I'm going to make our way down to lying onto the mat. And coming down, I'm going to take both knees into the belly. So hugging both knees in, allowing the knees to rest heavy into the body. Squeezing the knees, allowing the body to find length. I'm going to plant the left foot down onto the mat. If you have your strap, take hold of it now. We're going to use it. If you don't, I'll show you the variation we can use if you don't have a strap with you today. We're going to rest the strap around the ball of the foot and begin to extend the right leg away from you. Extending the right leg up towards the sky. Now, if you don't have a strap, you can always extend the leg long and just bring the hands to rest behind the back of the leg, maybe behind the knee or behind the calf, just where you can take hold of. Flex the foot so the heel is flexed towards the sky and the toes are peeling back towards your face. Take hold of the strap to where you comfortably can. And then just begin to soften into the pose. Maybe you can take it deeper and extend the left leg long away from the body. And wherever you are, just find softness through that leg. Maybe you can begin to draw the right leg ever so slightly closer to your face. Might be only a couple of millimeters. Just slightly. Keeping both hips grounded and really heavy on the mat. Soften the shoulders as you soften the head. Use your breath to see if you can go deeper. Maybe you can straighten the leg a little bit more. Maybe you can draw the leg a little bit closer towards you. I'm going to gently release from here. So bring your leg back to center. Plant the left foot back onto the mat. And begin to bend into the knee. Squeezing that knee in towards the body. Maybe taking some circles with the knee. Just moving it around the joint. Reversing to the opposite side. Then we'll take it to the next side when you're ready. So again, if you have your strap or you have your belt with you, wrapping it around the sole, into the ball of the left foot, begin to extend the left foot long away from you. Pressing into the heel, peeling the toes back towards your face. And if you do it on the opposite side, maybe you want to walk the right leg long. And then soften the shoulders down the back. Check in with the breath. Notice how this side of the body feels. One side will always feel a little bit tighter than the opposite. So just notice which side this is for you today. Notice which side maybe needs a little bit more love and support. I'm going to gently begin to bend into the knee. Taking hold of the left knee. Hugging it in towards the belly. Like we did on the other side. Rolling into that hip joint. Finding space, releasing tension. And then taking it the opposite way. And then hugging both knees in towards the body. I'm going to take a happy baby pose from here. So bending into the knees, allowing them to fall heavy towards the outsides of the body. And just take a moment here, allowing the knees to hang heavy down towards the ground. So we're just going to allow the hips to open before we move into our happy baby. Soften the hips. Notice the lower back. Allow it to release. Happy baby is one of my favorite poses. It is quite challenging on the hips. Really opening deep, but has some wonderful qualities to it. So good for opening the hips. So good for releasing the lower back. If you have any lower back trouble, it's such a good pose to do. But you want to take it easy. It is quite challenging. So from here, a few variations. You could always take hold of the backs of the knees and just stay here and hold, open through the hips. So if you have any issues, this might be perfect for you today. Or if you feel you can take it deeper, begin to take hold of the outer edges of the feet, or using the 2 index fingers, you could take hold of the big toe, wrapping around. Then we're going to begin to bend into the knees as you send the soles of your feet up towards the sky. As you draw your shoulder blades down, you draw the knees towards the body. So really opening into the hips, but relaxing into the shoulders. If you feel you're in this pose and you're here, your shoulders are coming up and you're stretching away and you can't quite get the knees down, release and take hold of either the ankles, the shins, or to the backs of the knees. There's no need to be scrunching into the shoulders, only go to where you can. We want to try and make this pose nice and restorative. So once you're comfortable in where you need to be today, close the eyes and begin to sink and release into your happy baby. Tucking the chin in slightly as you lengthen through the spine. And you soften through the hips. Allowing the muscles in the lower back to release and let go. Going to gently releasing the grip wherever you are, and hug the knees back in towards the body, squeezing the knees in. Rock side to side. Let go of tension in the hips, the legs, the lower back, and the shoulders. We've worked really deeply down to our body. So from here, we're going to make our way into our well-deserved Shavasana. Begin to extend the legs long on the mat. Walk the feet over towards the corners. Take up as much space as you can. If you want to rest your cushion under the head or under the hips, please do. If you want to throw layers on you or a blanket to get comfortable, just get as nice and warm and into a nice state of mind. Extend the arms long, palms face towards the sky, shoulder blades nestle under the body, and soften. Letting everything go. Let the muscles become heavy. Allowing your fingertips to naturally curl as the weight of the body sinks and melts deep into the mat. This is where I'm going to leave you today. I encourage you to spend as long as you can reaping the rewards for your class today. And if you need to come out, bring your hands to touch, resting your hands up towards your forehead. And thank you very much for joining me on the mat today. I look forward to seeing you again very soon. Namaste.